Don't worry about it, Evie. I told you, just leave it alone.
Why?
Plausible deniability. Look, let's forget about it for right now. Let's move on to the games we got today. Okay, we have Resident Evil 7 and remakes of the first 3 games left, so let's start with Resident Evil 7. Or is it Resident Evil 7 Biohazard? Resident Evil Biohazard? Look, I'm just going to call it Resident Evil 7. After the polarizing response of Resident Evil 6, Capcom realized they needed to go back to the drawing board with the series to get back to its roots in a way. It took some time to get it right, but eventually they released
Resident Evil 7.
Coming out in 2017 for the PS4, Xbox One, and PC, 7 later was ported to, well, nothing yet. That was only 3 years ago. Okay, it sort of got a Switch port in Japan, but that wasn't actually playing on Switch hardware. It's complicated, I'm not getting into it. About a year before release, Capcom did give it a free extended demo called The First Hour, which was an altered version of the final game's first area. It's almost a separate game in itself in a way, but I didn't really play it at the time or anything, so I'm not going to get into it. Alright, let's get into the story. In 2017, remember when we had like 5 games taking place in 1998? Good times. A man named Ethan Winters receives a mysterious message from his wife, who's been presumed dead for years, asking him to meet her in Silent Hill. Wait, nope, that's a different series. She asks him to meet her in Louisiana, which is significantly scarier than Silent Hill.
You've never even been there.
I've been to Florida, okay? And if it's even half as bad as Florida, it's scarier than Silent Hill. So even though following the advice of a dead person is usually not a smart move, Ethan follows the directions to a rundown estate. Ethan finally finds his apparently not dead wife, but it soon becomes clear that they're going to need some couples counseling. And then Ethan's nightmare truly begins as he meets the family from hell. Ethan has until morning to find a way out and save his wife, or else he too will join the family. So, without spoiling anything else about the story, you might notice that it's pretty removed from the other main series Resident Evil games. In fact, this is the first main series game whose main characters aren't either returning or have some sort of direct connection to previous main characters. A small spoiler, but Chris Redfield does make a small appearance at the end of the game and is playable in one of the DLC chapters, but apart from that, there is little to no connection to the rest of the series. And I actually really like that. The first game was a simple story of trying to rescue someone and escape the horrors of an estate. 7 finally recaptures that original idea. Yes, like the original, you do find more info that hints at bigger things happening in the world, but at its heart, it's just the story of a man doing everything he can to save the wife he thought lost forever. Assuming Ethan actually cares about her. Yeah, my biggest criticism of the story is Ethan as a character. As you can tell, the game is in first person. Trust me, we'll talk about that. And because it's in first person, they really try to underplay Ethan as an individual so that he'll feel more like a player surrogate. And that isn't necessarily a bad move, but it does make him a bit more forgettable compared to other Resident Evil protagonists. Chris, Jill, Leon, Claire, Rebecca, and all the others except for Steve are wonderful characters that leave a big impression. Meanwhile, I didn't even remember Ethan's last name while writing the script. I had to Google it. Ethan doesn't really react to much, and most of his dialogue is directed to be underplayed, leaving him as just a typical guy with no real memorable qualities. That isn't necessarily a bad thing. Again, it's perfectly acceptable approach. I just ended up not caring as much about him as previous protagonists. But what about the gameplay? Well, like I said before, we're now in a first-person perspective. Yet, despite that, it basically plays like the classic pre-4 games do. You still wander around, find stuff, deal with the inventory, solve puzzles. This is modern Resident Evil in a first-person perspective, and it plays excellently. There's really not a lot more to say here in regards of general overview. This is a super fun game that nails basically all the Resident Evil mechanics, but with a new viewpoint. I really love this game. And yeah, Resident Evil 7 is my favorite non-remake game in the franchise. I do prefer the story of 2 more, but as a cohesive whole, I really like 7 more. And while I do have the Xbox One version here, the version I initially played was the PS4 version, and that is definitely the version you should play. See, when I streamed 7 this summer, I borrowed my friend Peter's PlayStation VR headset to play through it. And I have to tell you, this game is perfect in VR. I got motion sickness playing other VR games, but I didn't get sick at all with Resident Evil 7. It really makes you feel like you're right there in the Baker estate with the monsters and hillbillies chasing you. It's an amazing experience you have to try if you can. Though if you can't get a hold of the PlayStation VR, both the Xbox and PC versions are fine as well. The only thing I would say is that no matter what version you get, make sure it comes with the DLC. There's 2 story DLCs, Not a Hero and End of Zoe, that are sort of vital to fully understand the story. Though, make sure you finish with End of Zoe. Trust me, it's the perfect end cap to the horrible nightmare that was the Baker estate. So, that's all the main series games so far, not counting the remakes. My favorite, like I said, is definitely Resident Evil 7, but I would say that Resident Evil 2 or 4 is the best place to start. Code Veronica is right at the bottom. But apart from that game, I think all the games are good in their own way. Definitely check them out if you haven't already. So, going back 15 years, Capcom decided to take a second stab at the Arcade Mansion incident with a from-the-ground-up remake of the original story that was faithful, but held new surprises and better production values. And so we got...
telling the truth. I know, you know, they just don't have any proof. It's the deception, learn how to bend your worst inhibitions, then psych you out in the end.
Resident Evil.
Hey, last time you used the intro to How I Met Your Mother, so I don't want to hear it. Released in 2002 for the GameCube, Resident Evil's remake later was ported to the Wii and then given an HD remaster for PS3, 360, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. The story is exactly the same as the original, but with an extra side story about the architect of the mansion and his family. The biggest change is with the voice acting. We go from hilariously over the top to...
Barry.
That was a close one. A second late, you would have fit nicely into a sandwich.
Really?
Serviceable! Yeah, sorry, but the voice acting in this game is mostly just okay. It's technically better, sure, but I remember and love the old terrible voice acting a lot better. Give me Jill sandwiches any day. Gameplay is also exactly the same, though it has been updated to match the new standards of the series, including the quick turn. But besides that, everything plays basically the same. You choose Jill, not Chris, solve puzzles, dodge zombies, basic stuff like that. However, the mansion is bigger than the original, with new areas and paths, and all the items have been completely rearranged as well. But the biggest change is definitely the Crimson Heads. Oh boy, I hate these things. Now when you kill a zombie, it will eventually get up again after a bit of time and become a Crimson Head. They can now run, take more damage, and hurt you a lot more. You can prevent them from becoming Crimson Heads by either landing a headshot or burning the bodies. However, there's a limited amount of gas, and the shotgun no longer ensures a headshot, which makes the whole thing just a lot more annoying than anything to me. I get the intent here, but I just hated these things. Especially since I didn't realize they existed until all of them started rising back up at me. But apart from that, this is a breathtaking remake. The graphics are phenomenal, the soundtrack is brilliant, and the core of the original is intact. If you only play one version of this story, it should definitely be this remake. Though, truth be told, I still prefer the DS version of the original. I like the shorter length, I prefer the cheesier dialogue, just all of that. But it still doesn't make the remake any less phenomenal. As for which version of the remake is best, I don't know, maybe the HD versions? Though there is some weird graphical issues and some weird loading time problems. It doesn't ruin the game at all, but it is odd. So keep that in mind. With the Resident Evil 1 remake being such a huge success, the next natural step would be a Resident Evil 2 remake. It took 17 years. Yeah, no idea why, but it is what it is. And we got...
Resident Evil 2.
The Resident Evil 2 remake was released in 2019 for Xbox One, PS4, and PC. What, you think there's other releases already? It just came out last year. The story is basically the same as the canon version of the original game, though some serious character and event changes. Everyone got a new costume, of course. Claire and Leon both seem to act a bit more naturally considering their ages, and all around, everyone is just slightly different. Sometimes because their role was enhanced or reduced, and sometimes just to better match the new sequence of events. And sometimes just to tell a new story, like with Kendo. And the acting is all super fantastic. The original game had a great voice acting for the time, but the remake takes full advantage of the modern voice acting scene, creating a truly fantastic story told even better than before. Gameplay-wise is almost exactly the same as Resident Evil 7, but in third person as opposed to first. I do prefer the third person view, making this the best of both worlds gameplay-wise. For the most part. See, there's one really big issue I have with the story and gameplay. One large, bulking pain in the butt. Mr. X. I barely mentioned him when I talked about the original game, and that's because he was really underplayed. He showed up during your B campaign at very set moments, and you just avoided him until the final boss with him. But in this remake, he not only shows up during both campaigns, but he hunts you down for the entire police station segment. It's absolutely horrifying. Well, he was at first. I said the problem is people do get used to him. Even I did. Here was me when I first encountered him playing the game.
I'm done for tonight. I'm honest, I'm not gonna lie, I kinda don't ever want to play this again right this moment.
And here was me when I encountered him playing again this week.
Oh yeah, take some of this. Yeah, take it, enjoy it. Loser, moron.
Fear is something as a species that we overcome. I was afraid of Mr. X, and now I'm no longer afraid of him as much. But here's the problem is, once you're no longer afraid of him, what's left? What's left is an incredibly annoying game mechanic. I've played this game enough to learn how to limit my time so I don't have to deal with him as much. But that's just me finding unintended workarounds to a problem they made. If they limited the time he was hunting you, or even just limited him to Leon's campaign or something, it would make this a lot better. But overall, I really love this game. It's absolutely fantastic, and you should definitely get it for the system of your choice. Maybe we could even get a remake version of the official board game?
I will kill you.
With such a long wait between the remakes of the first and the second games, fans figured it would be another long time until the remake of the third game. It came out the next year. Roll the intro, I guess.
Resident Evil 3.
Released this year, 2020, for PC, PS4, and Xbox One, the remake of 3 has caused some serious split opinions. Story-wise, it's still just Jill escaping Raccoon City while being chased by Nemesis, but a lot of locations were taken out or significantly reduced. The only major extended areas I can think of are the sewers and a quick trip to Kendo's gun shop. Also missing is the multiple choices and alternate endings, including my beloved Barry ending. And yeah, all those things are true and very unfortunate. Gameplay plays exactly like the remake of 2, but with the dodge mechanic finally added back in. However, the reduced areas make a much shorter game. Nemesis only shows up at the end of the shortened city section, and the mercenaries mode is completely gone. All in all, this is not a good remake. This is my favorite Resident Evil game, ever. And one of the only games I've ever platinumed. I'm not kidding. Look, I understand why people were upset. I get why fans of the original were outright offended by this game. And I do think $60 is way too expensive for what you get. But I can't help it. I just had so much fun with this game. Its length has been shortened to just the perfect amount for me. And I've replayed multiple times on all of the difficulties. This was the game that made me realize that I actually am a fan of this franchise. Yes, I am a fan. A new fan, and one that prefers the modern approach to be sure, but still a fan. Resident Evil 8 has already been announced, and there's talks about more remakes coming down the line, and honestly, I'm here for all of it. I love Resident Evil.
The movies too?
I gotta go. See you guys next time.
What are you doing down there?
I told you, don't worry about it. It doesn't concern you.
Oh, the door must be locked. Where's the key? Oh, there's the key. Oh, this must be the code. There we go. wrong key. I think I'll save. There we go. There we go.
What's that noise? Hey, what are you doing?
I found Paul W.S. Anderson. I'm making him pay.
I'm not Paul W.S. Anderson!
Yeah, well,
Who is Paul W.S. Anderson?
he's the director of the live-action Resident Evil movies. He's the one that besmirched the good name of this franchise, and now he's gonna pay!
I'm not Paul W.S. Anderson!
Okay, well, if he really is, we should make him watch those atrocities.
No, please give me the bat. Please give me the bat.
Next time, everybody,
No, wait,
me and Paul W.S. Anderson
Paul W.S.
are
Anderson!
going to watch the live-action Resident Evil movies.
Okay, I couldn't care less. I'm gonna go get some churros.
Nice throw. Hi. We've had a lot of fun today. But I would just like to remind everybody that in the real world, you should not kidnap and assault people you have disagreements with. It's okay to dislike stuff, but it's never okay to take that dislike out on somebody else like that. Not even Paul W.S. Anderson. Seriously though, guys, I just want to thank you for watching. I'm shocked we've been able to get these out weekly so far, and I hope that continues. Hope you enjoyed. We had a lot of fun making this one. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe, give the charity, all that normal good stuff. Next week should be a lot of fun. Assuming we can get this one out next week. I've never done the ones with movies, and there's 6 movies. I gotta try to get either footage or maybe screenshots. I don't know. Hopefully, it won't be too hard. But I would like to thank, of course, all my Twitter followers, everybody watching. Thank you, Will, for premiering here and letting me tie you up and beat you with the bat. Thank you, Evie, for all your help as well. And yeah, just remember, guys, be excellent to each other.